The microbial wars, humans using refrigerators, sanitation, boiled water, and antibiotics, and from a plant standpoint, I would say host resistance, try to kill, starve, and subdue microbes. The microbes fight back by developing new pathways, new proteins, and new strategies for survival. They are as ingenious, or possibly more so, as those devised by humans to destroy them. Over the history of trying to manage particularly bacterial diseases, we've gone from more than 100 years ago where we've used something like copper, so we attempt to try to kill them. The next step was we brought in some antibiotics, again trying to get out by trying to kill them. Then we're now trying to turn on the resistance mechanisms in plants so that plants which normally may not have the level of resistance that's required, with appropriate chemicals we can upregulate those methods. So anything that we can do to either reduce the amount of these materials being put into the environment or to alleviate some of the resistance problems would be very helpful. That is what I find very interesting about the compounds that a chemist here on campus, Dr. Christian Melander, found several years ago and was developing these relative to use against human pathogens. Their role is to modulate biofilm. First, I should define a biofilm, but it's an aggregate of bacteria that has attached to a substrate. And once these bacteria attach to a substrate, they can change the physiology. They are a cluster or a group of bacteria, and they become a community. That started the relationship that I developed with Dr. Christian Melander in chemistry and also Dr. John Cavanna in biochemistry here on campus. As these compounds began to be developed, this brought in Agile Sciences, which is a company that was founded and is currently located on Centennial campus here. They've licensed these compounds from NC State since Dr. Melander is a faculty member, and they were developed here. My interest would be, can they be used in an agricultural setting, particularly on plants? And so Agile Sciences has developed relationships with numerous other agricultural companies. Some of the large international companies are very interested in these compounds and adding these not only to compounds that control bacteria, but we've also found that they have the potential to enhance control of some of the fungal diseases. I think this concept of not trying to kill the pathogen, but to modulate it in such a way that we've taken away some of its ability to be a pathogen. And therefore, we may be able to take some of the selection pressure off of them and not have them evolve to continually overcoming the methods that we want to use to manage them. If we can maintain host resistance genes without having those defeated, if we can maintain the compounds that we use against bacteria without having bacteria become resistant to those, would be very helpful in a sustainable manner. Modulating the bacteria to disrupt the way they communicate with each other. This is something that has come about in plant pathology probably in the last 10 to 15 years, that we have found that the bacteria, we've often thought that they existed just as a single cell, but they really in nature prefer to be in communities. And so what we would like to do is use these molecules and to disrupt their communications so that they cannot work as a group to overcome either host resistance or the other tactics that we use to manage them. So I think this type of research is opening up a whole new area of looking at how we may manage not only plant diseases, but as to how it goes back into the human diseases and those other types of microbes.